What's going on, everybody? This is your 90-second tutorial on pawns. All 16 of the different pawn openings have unique names. The most popular is the king's pawn. And all 16 pawn replies from black have unique names except for the dubious b pawn up 2, which is a free capture. Flank pawns are on the edge of the board. The center pawns are in front of your king and queen. The closer to the middle, the more powerful a pawn is. Given the choice, you want to capture towards the middle. Leading with the queen pawn will often result in a closed board or a closed position. Leading with the king pawn will often result in an open board or open position. Pawn islands are groups of pawns separated by columns with no pawns. The less pawn islands you have, the better. A semi-open file is a column that one player is missing pawns. An open file is where both players are missing pawns. Rooks and queens work best on files with no pawns. If a pawn marches past a square you can capture it, you still can by en passant. Sacrificing a pawn for development is called a gambit. Double pawns and triple pawns are when a player has multiple pawns on the same file. Their strength is creating semi-open and open files, but they become a weakness in the endgame. Hanging pawns are two connected pawns that can't advance without threat of capture. A pawn cube is a 2x2 block of pawns. A poison pawn is a trappy pawn that looks safe to capture but is not. A pawn on the 8th rank turns into a queen, knight, rook, or bishop. Passed pawns are pawns that can no longer be attacked by enemy pawns. You want to push past pawns. Knights belong in front of and rooks belong behind passed pawns. A backward pawn is a weak pawn that has no adjacent pawn behind it that can protect it. Running out of time is only a draw, not a loss, if your opponent doesn't have at least a pawn. Mingya, that's a lot of different kinds of pawns, eh? Just like this picture.